Hi guys, this is Connie as Baby Bear, back for part 2 of Connie reads Brian's Hunt, The Hunt, technically chapter 11. Here's part 2. What? Brian moved to where the dog stood, looked at the ground, but it was thick with hummus and grass. He could read nothing. He held his breath as the dog did, and they listened together, but he heard nothing, and he looked back to the ground and did not see anything until he had gone 3 yards farther along his own old track, and there, where the grass had been worn by a white-tailed deer scraping, there was soft dirt, and smack in the middle of the dirt, there was a perfect print. Large, huge, missing claw, perfect sign, and very, very fresh. It was the bear. The bear. And it was following him, tracking him, hunting him. And for just that second, that long, long second, Brian went from predator to prey, felt a coldness on his neck, felt as a deer must feel when the wolves pick up its scent, as a rabbit must feel when the fox starts its run. Cold, no breath, everything stopped, no thinking, just that long second of something even more than fear, something very old, very primitive. The bear was hunting him. Then it was gone. The coldness, the fear were gone and replaced by something even more pure, more primitive, as he thought of what was coming, what the bear's tracks actually meant. He did not have to hunt the bear any longer. It was hunting him. It would come to him, and it would be soon. Soon. Dusk now, he thought, dark in an hour. If it takes an hour. I passed here, 3 hours ago? And if he's moving on my trail, how fast? Faster than me, certainly. He could be close, very close. In that split second, he had happened to be looking at the dog, saw the dog's head turn to the left, and he dropped and turned at the same instant, heard brush crashing as he fell, brought the bow up, tried to pull the broad head, but it was too late, all too late. The bear was on him, rolling him, cuffing him. The bow was knocked out of his hands, flying ahead, arrows spewing out of his quiver. The bear strangely silent, pushing, pounding him as he first rolled in a ball, and knew that wouldn't work. Not now, not with this bear. This bear had come to kill him, and he was going to kill him, and there wasn't a thing Brian could do about it. He tried for his knife, but the bear knocked it out of his hands, knocked his arms sideways, grabbed his left arm in his jaws, and flung Brian back and forth the way he would worry a small animal. I'm not going to make this. Brian had time to think. He's going to win again. He's going to kill me. And then he heard the ripping growl of the dog, and it landed on the bear's back and grabbed at the bear, turned to hit the dog, knocked it sideways 20 feet where it lay, stunned, and then the bear turned back to Brian. But there had been that second, 2 seconds, and Brian was lying on the ground, well away from his bow, but the arrows had flown out of his quiver, were all around him, and he grabbed a broadhead with his right hand. His left hung useless, and dove, following the arrow into the center of the chest of the bear. He was amazed at how easily it slid in, and he saw only 6 inches of arrow showing and thought, there, that's it then. But it wasn't. The bear snapped at his chest, at the arrow, broke it off, and Brian tried to get away in that instant, but the bear wasn't done and grabbed him by a leg, pulling him back. And as he slid over the ground, he came across another arrow, and he grabbed it and turned and jabbed it up into the middle of the bear, and it still wasn't enough. And the bear cuffed him, slammed him alongside the head, and he went down, and the last thing he saw was an enormous wall of fur coming over him, and he thought, all right, this is how it ends. This is how it all ends. And everything tunneled down to nothing but a point of light, and then that went dark, and there was nothing left. Sounds. Soft, whimpering sounds. For a second, he thought, that's me. Everything was still dark. He was being crushed under some great darkness, and then he smelled the bear on him, around him, and heard the sound again. It was the dog, licking his face, pulling at his shirt. The bear was on top of him, lying still, dead where it had fallen. The second arrow had finally brought death. Brian pushed, pulled at the ground, and the bear had finally got free. It was dark, though not pitch black, and in the early light, limping and holding his left arm, he found wood and got a fire going. With the light, he looked first to the dog. The original stitches had held, unbelievably. But she had a new wound about 4 inches long across the top of her head. There didn't seem to be any other obvious injuries, and with the dog settled, Brian turned to himself. Bites in the arm on his leg, but not great tearing wounds. His left shoulder seemed to be dislocated, and as he tried to raise his arm, he heard a pop, and it snapped back into place with a burst of pain that put him on his knees and brought splashes of color to his vision. Oh, man. We're going to come back for part 3, which is going to include the end of the hunt as well as an afterward. Be careful with that and enjoy, please, and thank you. Bye.